album. It was released by Relapse Records. That's correct, right? How is this to work together with this label that has a lot of huge band working with them? Is it continuity of the Roadrunner Golden Area, or you feel more comfortable with the support and promotion of this new?
Yeah, Relapse is cool guys. It's a smaller record label. Mm-hmm. They're down-to-earth people. They love Obituary. And again, with the crowdfunding, we were able to record the album, mix it, produce it ourselves. Album cover, everything was paid for and finished. And so we just needed somebody to distribute it around the world. And Relapse came to us and they said, here's how we'll do it. And they showed us a game plan on the distribution of the album. And it gave Obituary all the power to keep the rights to the album, the publishing rights. And this record label they have 2 years to sell the record with us, and then we get the ownership back. Unlike a traditional record label, where sometimes record labels keep your album for 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. They'll want to keep the rights to it. So it gave us the power to have the future is our music.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, because we didn't know really when you finish your relationship with Roadrunner Records how it really ends. I mean, one question for me that is very important is that the break time that you take from '97 to 2002, it was due to the relationship with Roadrunner Records, or just for personal?
I think a little bit of both. I think it's a long career, and the music industry is just strange. Touring is strange. You see how we live. You know, we're living in a room every day, out of your backpacks and airplanes and buses and travel all the time. So it was just I think the band members were ready for a break. Mm-hmm. That's all. You know,
necessary.
It was a necessary break it was well needed, and it helped us because we're having more fun now than we've ever had.
¿Tienes más?
Well, this is just like a personal question. I really like the sound of the Inked in Blood, especially about the guitars. They really have the pure sound of and essence of Obituary. Also, we found the great vocals about John. And well, personally, I think that the band still looks fresh and in great condition. I would like to ask you about the rehearsals. How often did you make the rehearsals? For example, in 1 week, I don't know, to arrive to that point.
Well, because we wrote for 3 years. We were writing songs and recording them and then putting them away and letting it rest for a little while. And then you go back and you listen to that song and you immediately think of new ideas. So the process of writing was years, and then before the album was recorded, we practiced until we were very confident with each individual song. For myself, drum-wise, it's when I was ready, and it was years. We were practicing those songs and rethinking about them before we hit record for nearly 4 years of writing and practicing them. To where when we recorded, I literally was sometimes in the room by myself, hitting record on the computer and running back to my drums to play. And I was so comfortable with some of the songs. Some of the songs, the Centuries of Lies, the first song on the album, It was one take. I did it in one take. There's no editing. Because I was comfortable with the song, and I remember thinking, when I was finished, I hit stop and I hit save, and I'm like, I think I just did it. I think I played the whole song, and sure enough, I listened back. I'm like, yeah, I'll move on. But being comfortable with the song, it just takes again and again practicing it. Not just week after week, but we took months and months and put them away for a little while. Then we have to go do some shows, and when you come back and you listen to them, you get more ideas about them, or you cut some parts out because you know it's not necessary. So I think that's what attributes the Inked in Blood being a decent record, is because the songs, we thought about them for a long time, and we trimmed the fat where we needed to, or we added ideas where we thought was needed. So
maybe it's the best option for making good songs, because if you go to the studio waiting for inspiration or something,
that's right.
Maybe
some bands can do that. Yeah. We might have to do that, but we don't. We take our time.
Okay, after talking about the last album, I would like to go back to the early days.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an impression of mine, but I think that Obituary, among all the American death metal bands in mid '80s, I think it's the band that sounds more heavy, with a lot of slow moments. Maybe do you have some Black Sabbath influence, or maybe it's just my impression? But do you think the same? I mean, I can even in the first records, which most common is the first records are very fast. In Obituary, in the first records, a lot of heavy moments. Maybe it's Black Sabbath influence or some Doom influences or something.
I think definitely, obviously, there was a Black Sabbath influence because that's how we grew up and what we grew up to, and of course we're old enough where when I was influenced, it wasn't metal. I didn't even know what thrash metal was when I was beginning to play drums in 1980. It was more rock and roll for me, and it was more about southern rock and roll in Florida where I grew up, you know. So I learned just kind of groove beat, not necessarily metal. And then, of course, the influence of Black Sabbath and just the early shit, you know. That was some inspiration there, but I think it's also that we're fans of mid-tempo heavy songs and we play those well. We're not the fastest band in the world and we don't want to be. And we're happy with the style that we developed over the years together, and we don't want to mess around with that. You don't mess with it.
Yeah, because it's one of the things that I admire the most, because people make a relationship between death metal and velocity, but Obituary, even in the first album, is slow and heavy moments which are more about groove, not about speed. And also in this, talking about this scene, Morbid Angel, I'm surprised by that. Why do you think in sunny Florida came up this movement?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's obviously that question's been asked a million times,
sure.
And everybody's expecting the answer like, they were drinking swamp water, you know. But it's just coincidence, I think.
Yeah, coincidence.
It was coincidence, and I think it was the competition was so, you know, you either had to be really good or you're not going to be taken serious, because when Chuck started Death, it was the beginning of it all, and he was so good that it made us all rise to another level, and you either are going to be really good or you're going to get left behind as a band in Central Florida back in that day. And it's just weird how just a handful of us made metal what it is, and it's coincidence.
In the last album, I see more fast moments, even that in the first. Maybe it's because as thrash movement is arising, maybe it's like, okay, hey, we want to play fast also. Do you think it's... But I think you have like recuperation or...
Well, you know,
fast back.
We never worry about what other bands are doing. We don't worry about what our last album was doing. We don't care about what we think the fans need or what Obituary didn't do on the last record. We just get into the studio or in the practice room, and we just start jamming. And within 10, 15 minutes of that day, something's going to come out. And if it doesn't, no big deal. We're not going to sit for hours and hours and think, okay, we need to write a fast one today. That's not the way we think. Me and Trevor just get together and have a beer, and we just jam. And something happens, usually immediately, and then we remember it, and we said, record that real quick, because that was cool. And then forget about it, and then go back the next day or next week or next month, and then listen to those ideas, and it inspires you to work on that part of the song. So,
change of subject. Let's talk about this tour, of course, Deathcrusher. How has been the experience?
Well, this was the last show of 6 weeks. This was a long one.
You played yesterday in Bilbao?
Yeah.
But not yesterday.
Yes, it was amazing.
Yeah?
It was an amazing show. But it was an unbelievable tour. Just the lineup, you know. This is a heaven sent for fans to be able to see it. And the fans that were able to see this show, it's a once in a lifetime. You know, not very often does this kind of lineup, you know, 4 major bands that can, and we all are headlining bands, and somehow we pulled it together like brothers, and agreed that this is the way to do it, and the fans are lucky. You can see it.
For fans, it's of course very very good. But what do you prefer? Being headline or share the with this?
Obituary doesn't care.
Yeah.
We are
Just
happy to play last, even happier to play first.
Yeah.
Only because
You like playing, but
it's Obituary. When we're on stage, we do what we do, and we have a good time doing it. And as long as the fans are here, they're going to get a great show, whether it's first or last.
Okay, so that's everything for us.
No, man. One question. It's true that for Trevor was a great influence the album of Credo Field. Morbid Tales, like I heard before.
Oh yeah, you took it. Of course, man.
Celtic also Frost. For the sound of the band, isn't it?
Yeah, Celtic Frost, even Hellhammer. That was the beginning, because that was 1982 or something, 83. And it was, or 80. I don't know even when it came out, but it was definitely some Celtic Frost that was in us. That we heard it and we knew this is more interesting. Even though Slayer is my favorite band in the world. We knew we were on that direction, and that was fun for us because there's so many different styles of music and bands and what they play. It's a good thing that we didn't think too much about our style or what we should do. We just figured out we're good at doing this. We don't do blast beats. I don't even know how to do a blast beat, and I'm okay with that.
The most important thing is not playing the fastest, but playing where you feel comfortable.
That's right. And every musician, you should just play what you're good at. You know?